she has been featured in one of the top 1% of the brightest people in the world. Welcome to the show, Iona.
Thank you.
How did you spend your time in Siliguri?
Well, often on the weekend we go out as a family on different small outings, such as I went to Duas, and I've seen many rivers like the Tista River, and we go out in the morning in the car and we spend the whole day there and come back in the evening, and I really enjoy it because I like India a lot.
And now first tell me, how did you get into writing?
Well, from a very young age, because I didn't really know English when I first came to England, I've been a quick learner, so I learned English pretty quickly, and from then on I found a love of creative writing, and from quite a young age I used to write stories and poems a lot. Like every day, sometimes I used to sit and write a story. My mum used to give me a topic and I used to just sit and write about it. And then my mum's friend, she suggested that why don't you put these into some good use and send them to competitions or anything. And we hadn't known about that before. So my mum was really enthusiastic about it. So she decided to go onto the internet and searched up like competitions to enter. So from then on, it progressed, and since then I've been winning prizes.
So Iona, you are the winner of the Wicked Young Writers Award 2017, and your story was selected from the 1300 entries from across the UK. So can you tell me about the story, like, what inspired you to write this story and what is it all about?
So mainly this story was taken from my own life story. So it was about a young girl called Indigo, and she had recently moved to the UK from India at the age of 3, and it showed how she adapted and adjusted to her surroundings because she was constantly being uprooted from wherever she lived due to her father's job, and it showed how she made new friends and found love wherever she went.
Very excited to get the award.
Yeah, it was very nerve-wracking when I was sitting down in the Apollo Victoria Theatre, because I was sitting literally on the edge of my seat, and I was waiting until they announced who the winner was. Obviously, I was a little bit hopeful inside, so when they announced my name, I went a bit teary-eyed because I was so surprised, and I didn't think I'd win it. But when they announced my name, I was overjoyed.
Overjoyed, all right, okay. So do you also plan to write in any of the Indian languages?
Well, as of now, the only Indian language I do know is Bengali. But as a person, I really enjoy learning new languages because in school we learn French and Latin, and we're going to learn Spanish in year 8. So I really enjoy languages. But I also really want to learn Hindi because, of course, it's the Indian national language, and maybe a bit of Nepali because my grandparents and my mom can speak it, and I want to learn.
So have you picked up any Nepali sentence?
Yeah,
to speak?
My grandpa taught me this sentence.
So what is it? Can you share with our viewers?
It says, "Ko sang ayo," and then "Malai timi sang ayo."
Okay, thank you. And so you have won several awards, like the campaign for the nuclear disarmament, which obviously you won it for the second time, and the FSHAM awards, and like there are a list of awards that you have you have received, right? So what does these accolades mean to you?
Well, of course, whenever I win an award, I feel very proud and, of course, humbled at the same time. And I think it's wonderful that writing, which is my natural talent, it can go out and be recognized by people. And I think it's good that I'm receiving recognition and people are actually giving me a small prize or a trophy for it. And I feel very happy because of that. But also, I don't write just for the awards. I write because I enjoy writing, but I often enter competitions because it's good to see where I stand amongst everyone else, and it also feels nice to receive something. But if I only wrote for these accolades, then I'd have stopped ages ago. So it's definitely not just because of prizes.
Right, okay. So now let's talk about the style. First of all, let me ask you, who are your favorite writers?
Well, among authors, I really enjoy a writer called Anthony Horowitz. He writes spy thrillers, and I particularly enjoy his Alex Rider series. And I also enjoy Mallory Blackman. She's written the Noughts and Crosses trilogy, which is a realistic dystopia, and I enjoy that type of genre of books. And also Agatha Christie. I really like her style. My favorite book by her is called Elephants Can Remember. And also among some I've read some Indian books, such as it was called 14 Stories That Inspired Satyajit Ray, and it had some stories written by different people, such as Rabindranath Tagore, and the stories were extremely vivid in their descriptions, and I really liked reading them. One of them, which is called Monihara, it even scared me so much that I couldn't sleep at night because I kept thinking about it. So it was really gripping, and I enjoyed the plot of all the stories.
So it seems that you are a voracious reader.
Yeah, I really enjoy reading.
In a month, how many books do you read?
Well, I guess about maybe 5, 6.
Yeah, okay. So we'll take a short break. When we come back, we'll talk more about Iona and her works.
खबरको हाम्रो खोज अझ जारी छ। हामी खोतल्छौँ, कोट्याउँछौँ अनि निभन्छौँ अनि मात्र खबर प्रसारण गर्छौँ। युगको पछि दौडनेहरू सधैँ पछि पर्ने गर्दछन्। यसैले हामी विश्वसितै दौडने प्रयासमा छौँ। तर हाम्रो यात्रामा हामी मात्र छैनौँ। तपाईहरूको मर्म र पीडा हामी सँगसँगै छौँ। जसलाई श्रृङ्गारेर देखाउन हामी कटिबद्ध छौँ, किनकि हामी निष्पक्ष र निर्भीक छौँ। यसैले प्रत्येक दिन हामी प्रस्तुत गर्छौँ एबिएन समाचार। बिहान 7 बजे, दिउँसो 1 बजे अनि साँझ 8 बजे। होनहार प्रतिभा
Welcome back to the show. We are speaking to Iona Mandal from the UK. So Iona, do you consider yourself as a born writer?
Yes, well, since I was born, I've really enjoyed writing, and as I'm an avid reader, that certainly helps. because I often write stories and little poems. This really helps me because every day I try and write something. I have a little notebook in which I try and write a line every day, and that's just to boost my imagination. And every day I try and do something that's a little bit creative, and I've enjoyed writing stories and poems from the beginning. So I think I was born with a literary flair. So I think I'd like to continue writing in the future.
Right, okay. So basically, when I was going through some of your stories and your poetry, your genre is more of a nature, right? But you have not shied away from writing on serious subjects as well. And recently you wrote a story on the Anne Frank Reborn, which is totally based on the Holocaust. So isn't it very serious for you, for a 12-year-old girl, to think so deep?
Well, I think as a person, I think I'm a bit more mature than most other people of my age, and I enjoy writing about more deep, heartfelt subjects, because I think as a reader it would appeal to me more. So naturally, as a writer, I write more maturely, and I think it's just personally I prefer to write about something that has a lot of feeling and emotion in it, and I think people who read my stories will enjoy that too. So I like to combine what I like reading and within what I write too.
Right. So when we are talking about serious subjects, from where do you get the ideas?
Well, from the Holocaust, I used to go to a Jewish school in primary school, and often
in the UK.
In the UK, and often they told us about events that happened in the Holocaust, and so I grew up knowing all those things. And my other poem, "The Day the Bomb Fell," it was about the bombings in Hiroshima and Nagasaki. And of course I had to do some research. I had to read a bit about the Japanese life and how the bombings occurred. So of course I had to do a little bit of research to get an insight. So not all of it is from my own memory.
You have tasted the Hall of Fame at a very, very early age. And most of your neighbors, they even call you the young writers. The young writer. So how do you feel? How do you feel about it? Do you feel very special, or do you feel, there's a lot to do?
I don't really feel any different from any other child, because inside I am a child in the end. And although I like writing as a hobby, that doesn't stop me from doing anything any other normal child would do. And as you said, most children are seen out playing, things like that. As a person, I generally would prefer writing any day. So I think it just makes up me as a character. So it doesn't really make me feel it makes me feel a bit special, but not very different to anybody else.
And also the kids, children of this age, they are seen most of them, they are seen carrying tabs, smartphones, and they are into computer games and things. So are you attracted to such technologies?
Well, definitely. Seeing as I'm part of this generation, I of course have a phone and a tablet, and I enjoy using them. But of course, I don't think they should be used too much, because it can mar your creativity, and it can also stop your concentration. So I think the best thing is to use it in limited times, and also only to use it for a good purpose. So for my writing, I might research something on my phone or the tablet on the internet, or sometimes I do write on my phone because I find it easier to erase mistakes rather than writing on paper. But at the same time, If you gave me a book and you asked me, would you prefer to read it on a Kindle or the paperback version, I definitely say in real life a book, because I like the feel of paper as well. And I think we should not lose paper and books, but we should also embrace the new technology.